Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Although there wasn't any break, and it was just a little coffee break that I just, very liberally gifted myself. But right now I have hence come up with a good idea, which is that why don't we do this one thing on the social wall, at the engagement zone out there. I'm sure we are tweeting and we are chatting in between with the fellow colleagues out there. But how about also doing a quick introduction round also, through the social wall, let's just introduce ourselves with an adjective that defines you as a person and starts with, say, the first letter of your name. So here's the thing, I'll just give you an example. So for example, my name is Shikha. And if I think of an adjective that starts with the same letter, it's going to be a S, obviously. And that should define my personality as well. So I'll be, good to myself, and I would like to call myself as sincere Shikha, for example. So just think of that one adjective that starts with the same letter as your first name, and just define yourself with that particular adjective. So I'm sure the social wall can have some thousands of messages right now with your respective introductions that will just help us to know, which kind of a person you are and what is it that inspires you and defines you as a person, right? So I think that should bring some kind of enthusiasm as well as we focus our concentration towards the smart data protection for your hybrid cloud. I'm going to be roping in, without any ado, the Director, Sales Engineering, Commvault, India and South Asia. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Let's clap and welcome Pradeep Seshadri. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. I am Pradeep Seshadri, and I head the sales engineering function at Commvault, India and South Asia. I hope you all are doing well, and it is my pleasure and privilege to be amongst you all here today. I also would like to welcome you to my session on smart data protection for hybrid cloud, a topic chosen for today. This is a topic which is very close to me and a very relevant one in this era of digital transformation and business transformation. During the course of my presentation today, I would like to touch upon the shifts in IT trends as we see it, then move on to the challenges that come along with these initiatives, shifts and trends, and then finally talk about how Commvault can partner with you to efficiently address these challenges so you get your data management game right. Through its life cycle is the need of the hour, which, if done right, will help enterprises thrive in this fiercely competitive world and not just look at mere survival. So let's start by taking a look at what is normal these days when it comes to data. Over the last 5 months, we've seen a lot of changes that have happened in the way IT is being done. So it is so said that 5-year plans were just affected in 5 months flat post the pandemic. Pandemic has changed a lot in our lives, both officially and personally. And I do see things are getting towards the better. But from a data management perspective, a lot has changed the way enterprises look at how to manage data now. To begin with, data now is more omnipresent than ever. So what does that mean? Right from data centers to some clouds, so now it's all around the place. Data is in the edge, data is in SaaS systems, data is still on on-premise infrastructures, data is spread across multiple clouds, and it is just kind of, if I could call it, there's a data burst across all these infrastructures that we can think about, which makes data visibility and management that much more challenging. Now, what broadly categorized, what do we look at? We look at data in the edge. This could be your remote offices, plant location factories, and so on and so forth. It could be public clouds, any of the public cloud providers that you use and the systems within that you use. Private clouds, of course, which you run in your environments. Traditional infrastructures, things that really cannot go out of the walls of a data center. It could be because of IP, or it could be because of whatever sovereignty reasons that you don't want to put it outside. So this is the net reality today. An enterprise does see all of the data spread across these locations. One thing I would like to highlight for you here today is the emergence of hybrid cloud. What we have realized, and at least as Commvault, what we see in the market today is hybrid cloud is here to stay, and that's the new model for most enterprises, if not all. So hybrid cloud brings in the benefits of running an on-premise infra and versus adopting cloud as and when the business calls for it, and the flexibility to adapt multiple clouds. And here is how it is going to be over the next few years. And this is more or less a reality now. And people do accept, a lot of customers I see do accept this, and they are strategizing and making their IT strategies to match the hybrid cloud prerogative, right? So that's what here it is. And all this comes with a new sense of urgency. I don't think enterprises do have the time to do a lot of planning because things are changing. It's a disruptive time, and things change every day. So there is a sense of urgency to get this data management act right. And that is what is, basically the enterprise revolves around the management of data and the data availability and recovery. And that's a new sense of urgency that has come in the midst of all of these shifts and transformations and changes. Now, along with these shifts and initiatives come challenges. They are part and parcel of these new initiatives that we were talking about. Number one in that is the data sprawl. I think we just spoke about it, and I told you that there's a lot of different locations now. Data is being omnipresent. What that also means is the data is now contained in various different systems which are not really interconnected with each other, completely in a siloed model. And also that brings in a risk of visibility to the data. Second, we all have heard of and seen the ransomware threat go up month on month, day on day, and it is here to stay. So people out there, the bad actors out there, are prying on enterprises' data, and keeping that secure has become the top priority. The risks are going up with the data also growing, because the bad actors do understand that data is an asset, and once they get control of it, the enterprise is at their mercy. The next thing is, when it comes to cloud, and I'm going to delve about a bit later, but what I would like to say here is, when it comes to cloud and of course endpoints, we think the data ownership becomes a question, right? So I would like to simply put across saying that being in cloud does not absolve you of the data responsibility. In fact, it increases, because your data is your responsibility no matter where it is resident. It could be in a cloud, private cloud, hybrid, on the edge, doesn't matter. Or it could be in a laptop, user laptop, but it is still the enterprise's responsibility to manage the data. And we'll come to that in a bit as we move through the slides, right? Last but not the least, cloud adoption is here to stay and increase. Increasing number of enterprises are moving into cloud with all their kind of applications being qualified for migration, and the migration process itself happening. Of course, there are different points in time. Some have really matured in cloud, some are moving into cloud, some are just thinking about it. But the point is, you go to a CTO today, he's talking about cloud. You go about to talk to a CIO today, the budget is mostly around cloud, and in-premise investments are not seeing the light anymore. So it becomes very important to adopt cloud and move on, while keeping in mind the data availability, data recovery, data risk challenges. Then when we do meet customers who are adopting clouds, and we work with them a lot, there is one question that always comes up is, I have a cloud, so why do I need a dedicated backup tool? Do I really need it? Why can't I just use what is being offered by the cloud provider? Well, there's no harm in it, let me say that. But let me add a few points to build a perspective here. While cloud is great for elasticity, for instant, you can get your production up in an instant, you can get your compute and whatever you're doing with it up in an instant, and you pay as you go, pay as you use, and all of these makes it very elastic, scalable model. You can scale up, scale down. Data protection necessarily is not a great part of it. It's not a significant part of it. And it is right now done in very rudimentary methods, if you would ask me, when you go to cloud native. Is that enough for you for a timely recovery? You really need to take a step back and question that. May not be, because it requires a lot of manual processes to be done. It requires dedicated workforce looking into that. It also has cloud costs due to lack of any sort of efficiencies in storing the data. So there are multiple reasons why cloud native just doesn't cut it for your requirements today. Second, what about extended retention? Where, if you're using SaaS systems, these things come with limited retention, right? So how long would you actually you can keep it, and what is your actual need? Maybe you want to restore an email or a particular document 2-3 years later after the employee has quit. How do you really get to that? What is the ease? With what ease can you get to that? That's number one. Granular control. How deeply can you protect your data? Let's say you have compute instances running databases. Today, can your cloud native offer a database-aware protection? I don't think so. But does your business need a database-aware protection? Absolutely, because you want to be recovery ready. So you do need that kind of protection. So that is not provided by cloud native. Even if it has to be, it is a very laborious process. Third thing, and the most important thing, data separation. So you really don't want to be keeping your backup data right next to its primary copies. It doesn't really make sense. Then there's no point in backing up either. So you want to actually bring the data out to a completely physically different space. I'm just going, in physics terms, but what exactly this means is out of the cloud to a different cloud or a different location, right? You need to make sure that if a cloud asset were to be compromised, the backup copies are also not along with it, which gets compromised. So you still need to have a separate physical copy somewhere else outside. It could be a different cloud or a different data center. Last but not the least, all these things that we do is for recovery. If you cannot recover rapidly, there's no point in having any data protection strategy in the first place. Everything comes down to one point in data protection. How soon can you get to your data? How soon can you recover? And that's the fine line difference that goes between a cloud native versus a dedicated backup tool. A dedicated backup tool like Commvault, what we have built, ensures that you have visibility of the data all through its life cycle, no matter where it is resident. And you can get to that within no time, and you can recover within no time. And mind you, I'm saying recover because restoration is a mere copy back. It's a copy operation. Recover is coming back into business. And that's exactly what we mean when we say we help you with rapid recovery, right? So net, cloud native doesn't mean to say data is protected to your needs. It may be there just as a checkmark item, but on a rainy day when you actually need it, would it come handy? That's a question to ask. And in my experience, I can tell you that it's a tough proposition to get along with. Well, it may sound cheap, it may sound very inexpensive. I don't think it meets your requirements that you need with data protection. So how do you get up to be future ready, right? What's the answer? And here is where I would like to introduce our backup as a service called Metallic. Metallic is a Commvault offering based on the Commvault platform. And Commvault itself has a 25-year history in data management and protection specifically. All the goodness that our customers have been consuming over the years is now built into Metallic. So Metallic comes as that one single window or one single stop shop where you can go and get all your data protected irrespective of where the location is. It could be in the edge, it could be in a laptop, it could be in a cloud, it could be in a database as a service or a SaaS offering or a PaaS offering, doesn't matter. It could cover all of that. And quickly, let's see what all it covers, right? So one is cloud native protection. You talk about virtual machines or database instances in Azure, AWS, Google, we have you covered. You talk about O365, you talk about Google Mail, you talk about Salesforce.com protection, we have you covered with those SaaS as well. End user, it's a very, very important thing today that we have. I think even traditional enterprises today have a lot of end users who are outside of their environment. People who are using erstwhile desktops in a bank branch or an insurance company branch or in a pharmaceutical company, they're all kind of outside now. And it's very important and imperative to back up the data that resides on their personal, on their laptops that they use. And that becomes your responsibility. And Metallic absolutely helps with that to make sure that your end user data is kept safe. Hybrid models, I spoke about this earlier, it is here to stay, and we understand that, okay? We understand you would have a cloud resource, you would have several cloud resources, you would have in-premise resources, and we extend our capabilities to cover all of these workloads across locations. Last but not the least, air gapping is a primary requirement today if you are managing data, especially copies of data. So we make it very safe by taking those data, it could be cloud or on-premises, onto a completely different cloud domain, and keep it safe under the management of Commvault. And that's exactly how we offer you data protection and air gapping, so that your data is always safe irrespective of if the primary data was compromised at any point in time. So this is exactly what Metallic does for you. It's a one-stop shop for all your data protection needs. A quick look at the kind of depth of coverage across and breadth and depth of coverage across Metallic. So think of a workload, it is already covered by us. So, I mean, today we have the ability to cover you for various different workloads that you'll be using across your infrastructure, and make sure your data is visible, it is available, and it is predictable. It is predictable recovery, if I could call it that way. And all at an affordable cost. And the ownership and owners lies with Commvault and Metallic to get you the data back whenever you want it, wherever you want it, however you want it. And that's the promise of Metallic, right? You can just see how broad the coverage and how deep the coverage is with each of these workloads. We have based it on Microsoft Azure. So all of Metallic runs on Microsoft Azure. So it's, you can imagine, it's the enterprise platform that we are based on. Commvault itself is an enterprise platform, and we have now, it's more like a double bonus having it on Azure, who are also worldwide and proven technology. And we inherit a lot of those security features that come from Azure, apart from we providing our own AI and ML based mechanisms for ransomware detection protection, right? So that's exactly the kind of benefits that you get when you get into a arrangement with Metallic. Now, what is the difference that Metallic brings to table? One is, like I said, no compromise SaaS. The owner lies with Metallic, with Commvault, and enterprise grade coverage for data, and no overheads on your side, right? So you just have to, monitoring is on your side, but rest everything is taken care of by Commvault. Unlike a traditional infrastructure where you have to buy, build, tune, and then put it into production, here it is up and running in a few minutes. You sign up, and in a few minutes, you're already protecting your data. And that's the scalability, that's the speed at which you can do that. That improves your RPO, RTO as well, right? So unique SaaS Plus, if you have on-premise investments already made, we could leverage that investments so that you don't have to, it doesn't go waste. We can incorporate that in our ambit of our management and make sure you use your existing resources to manage data protection in your in-premise locations. Of course, you can have air-gap copies, layered security, Azure security, our own security makes the data safe wherever we have kept it. And it, of course, follows all the LRS, GRS copies where it is taken across different locations. Data sovereignty, no problem. If you want it only in a particular country, resident in a country, we can support that as well. Performance, needless to say, we have some of the best offerings in terms of recovering rapidly. Last but not the least, if you are subject to GDPR compliance or any sort of compliances, we can help you with that. Metallic can help you with that to stay compliant with that, those requirements. Quick look at why Metallic, why can't I build it on my own? Yeah, you could, and that's what a lot of enterprises have been doing. But the new normal and the way we see the industry going is all backup as a service model. We are seeing a real uptake in that consumption, and that's for a reason, right? Self-management, probably if data management is not your core competency, you probably would not want to do it any further. You would want to invest your resources in innovation in your own space and leave the data management to an expert vendor like Metallic and Commvault. Because self-managed software for data protection takes a lot of time, energy, effort, right? And to get it right. And you're still not assured if you've gotten it right. So right from procuring, identifying products, procuring them, configuring, deployment, ongoing maintenance to administration, a lot of different things that need to be taken care versus an all-inclusive backup as a service like Metallic, where you have predictable pricing, you know exactly what you're getting into, you scale up, scale down depending on your need. There's no particular commitment that you're doing. And then, of course, hands-free administration maintenance. So all your people can focus on more innovative tasks rather than being in front of a screen running monotonous, the same tasks day in and day out, right? So that's exactly what we're talking about here. I believe I have, given enough clarity with my discussion today around why backup as a service is important, why data protection is important, and how Commvault and Metallic can partner with you in the journey, in your journey, to make sure data protection hassles are taken away and it becomes a more seamless operation. With that, I come to the end of my presentation today. Again, it has been a pleasure being here. I wish you all the best, good times, and then see you soon sometime. Thank you so much.
Pradeep, thank you very much for making us future ready with Commvault, and thank you for all the insights that you shared. And with that, I just want to bring everybody's focus onto data, AI, ML, robotics for healthcare. augmented intelligence for clinical procedures and key decision making per patient specific data. Well, there are no prizes for guessing the title of our next fireside chat that's coming up. That is going to be based on AI in healthcare. Now, I don't want any one of you missing in attendance on this one, please. So we'll be right back. Just stay tuned.